So Mafex figures are something that have a lot of reputation within the action figure community, and if you guys know anything about them, you know that they have a lot of stuff to offer, whether it be for Marvel, DC, and a bunch of other stuff. It could be either movies or comics or TV shows, and it's just a pretty good company if you're looking for that type of stuff for your action figure collection. And so for the longest, I've wanted to have a figure of my own from Mafex. After doing some searching and everything like that, though, over on a live stream, I was able to come to a decision thanks to Prime to the First, so shout out to Prime for actually helping me make this choice, but we figured out what the first Mafex figure was going to be for the Geek Effect, and that ended up being this guy, Robocop from Robocop 3. I can't wait to get this guy out of the box and take a look at everything that he has to offer, and we're going to be doing it all here on the Geek Effect. So here we are with the Mafex Robocop 3 figure, and I can't wait to get this guy out of the box. But starting things off right, we're going to take a look at the packaging, which has some nice presentation to it. I like how this whole thing is displayed with the figure having a nice open window for you to look at it, and also have a look at all the accessories that are coming with this thing. You have some on this side, some on that side, and it looks pretty nice. You also have some logos and stuff at the top like Robocop 3. You have Robocop over there in the left-hand corner. You also have some other text and stuff down there like Robocop action figure, Mafex, number 87, which is the number for this Mafex figure, and you also have Medicom Toy, which is the name of the company that does the stuff for Mafex. When you flip this over to the left side, for instance, you do have some more stuff over here like the Robocop 3 logo once again, and then a shot of the Robocop figure front facing with the jetpack on, so I like that a lot. And then when you flip this over to the other side, you have another glimpse at some more stuff for the figure. He has this very nice stance going on with him with one of his weapons in hand, and you also have another logo for Robocop 3, and then Mafex down there. And then flipping this around to the back, that's where you'll see some other stuff there, like more logos, shots of the figure, the accessories, and all that stuff that you can expect when you get this guy out of the box, which it's actually time to do that. So let's go ahead, get Robocop unboxed, and see what he has to offer. And here we have the Mafex Robocop figure out of the packaging, and this thing is truly impressive. Like, for my first Mafex figure, I'm loving what I'm seeing here. Plus, all the accessories that come with this thing are looking very nice and detailed too. We'll get into those later in the review. But just taking a look at this figure, you can see the amount of detail that went into this thing. Mafex really went crazy on this figure, just trying to make sure that it was as accurate as possible to the look from Robocop 3. And I definitely think that they nailed that look. And I also think it's safe to say that when looking at this figure and messing around with it a bit, this is definitely going to be one of the contenders for my favorite figure that I've unboxed this year, for sure. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this thing. Taking a closer look at the Robocop figure, we can see all the details here on this fig, and they look very accurate to Robocop from that third film, and just in general with the suit, because his whole design doesn't really change too much throughout that original trilogy. There is the color change that happens in Robocop 2 where the suit's more blue, but in the first and third film, it's more of the silver color that we're seeing here, which is accurate, and I like this a lot. The head sculpt does have quite a bit of detail to it too, and it's a very accurate likeness and depiction of that character. You have the helmet at the top, the black visor, all the detail and sculpting for that helmet looks very nice too. You can even see some text at the side that says OCP Police Number 1. Not sure how well it shows on camera, but it is there on the left and right side of the figure, and I like that they managed to get that in there. You can also see the mouth opening, which does have some nice sculpting for the mouth. Has this very stern, serious look that we kind of know for Robocop to have there. He's a very serious sort of guy. And then you can even see things like the nose and the nostrils and stuff if you look underneath that helmet piece. And I like that they managed to get that in there rather than just having that be flat because, you know, well, if you're looking front facing, you can't really see it. But they managed to put that there and not leave it out. So I like that they wanted to put as much detail in here as possible. When you look towards the back of the figure, you will also see some like more sculpting at the back. You have that interface port where you access Robocop's like memories and all that other stuff. And then you also have like this purple tone that's over that. And some of it is kind of on this part of the helmet on that side. And those are just some minor details that we see on his suit in the film. And I like that they wanted to make sure all those different tones of colors and stuff were present on this figure. When you look at the torso area, that's where you have some more sculpting and it looks fantastic. You can see all the detail for the chest plating, detail for the shoulder pieces right there with some bolts and stuff. And then the arms are definitely very detailed too. Like you can see all that texture, all those different carvings and stuff in his suit, and the different pieces that protrude off the outfit look very nice as well. And then you can even see more of those like purple tones at certain points of the suit as well, like at the shoulder, at this point of the articulation in the joint. You can see some of that there too. And the same thing goes for the other side of the arm, so I like how that turned out for sure. Looking at the back of the outfit, you can see some more of that sculpting and detail that's there in between the shoulder blades. You have some of that bluish sort of tone that's in between there. That looks nice. You have some more detailing at the back with the diaphragm and waist area, all those details of that black area of his suit. Same thing going towards the front of the suit as well, and then working its way down. When you take a look at the legs, you can see even more detail going on here, and it looks fantastic. All the different edges and stuff that are here in this suit, the notches, those different carvings and stuff that have that very tech-like pattern of Robocop's design in his suit. It looks fantastic, and I think that they definitely were able to capture the look very well. Some more hints of those like purple and bluish tones in the armor are there too. At the knee area, you can see a lot of that, and then working its way down towards the foot, you see some more of it too. And then one thing I do like about this piece is that you have some more sculpting even here with that piston sort of area for his foot. And I'll tease this a bit in regards to the articulation, but you can move the foot up and down, right? And then that also moves with the piston in the back. So that just moves seamlessly. And it's a very soothing thing. Try not to get too carried away with it, but I like that they did that too. Same thing goes for the other leg. And you can see a bit more of that sculpting going on with the foot as well. All that detail. This is just such a highly detailed figure, and for it to just be in the scale that it is with this 1/12 scale, this is a lot of detail for a 1/12 scale figure, and I think that they were really putting their all into this. If you're looking to have some fun with your Robocop figure, Mafex has got you covered because there's a bunch of accessories that come with this pack, and it's pretty nice. So you can see a wide array of things here. You have some additional mouths for Robocop, some additional hands, some weaponry to go with him, and then you even have the flight pack that we saw from the third film, and there's even a flight stand being thrown in here with this figure. There's just so much in here, and for the price that you pay for a Mafex figure on average, I would say that this makes this thing very worth it. Now for the mouths that we have one that has more of a duck face sort of look to it, and then looking at this one, we have one with the slightly parted lips. And I do like these mouths a lot, but one thing's for sure is that these things look very creepy when they don't have the helmet attachment on them. Like, it looks weird. I don't know how to describe them, but it's definitely the thing of nightmares. And when you put these down to the side, you can see how these attach to the face itself. So you take that head off of the Robocop figure, you detach the helmet piece, detach the mouth like that, and then you can just slide one of these in. There's these little slots on the sides and then these tabs on the mouths, and these align with that so that you can fit that in there like so. Pop the helmet piece back on, and then you have a whole new look to your Robocop figure, and then you can simply just pop that back onto the head and then have a whole new look to how his mouth is shaped, and then you can do the same thing with the other mouth that he does come with. You do get 5 additional hands for Robocop to swap in and out. So for the hands, you have 2 of these fisted hands right here. These look very nice. You also have a trigger hand and a pointer hand for Robocop. I like the sculpting of the trigger hand and the pointer hand, but my favorite piece is the other hand that we get, and that's the one that has the interface needle. We saw him use this in the third film when he was accessing the database for the people that were being taken to the rehabilitation place. So this is a nice accessory to see here on this figure. It is a bit pointy at the end, so do be a bit cautious when you're messing around with this, but it's not anything that's going to be deadly or anything like that. It's just have some caution. But I do like the sculpting of it, and it also has a bit of a soft plastic material at the tip. It's a bit more stiff at the base of it, but this is a very nice piece to have with this figure. And then if you want to swap the hands out on the figure, it's very simple. All you're doing is just taking the hand off this little peg that's on the end of the fig, and then you attach this right there. There's a hole in each of the hands, that this just fits on there very nicely, and you can see a whole new look to your Robocop's hand. When it comes to the weapons, Robocop does come with two types. He has his Auto 9 right here, and this has some nice detail to it. You can see that there's a lot of texture, good sculpting, and it also has a glossy finish to it, so there is a bit of reflection in that barrel area. But then when you look at the handle, you can see that it has a matte finish, so a lot of that stuff is softened out in terms of the reflections, and it has a much more rough texture in comparison to that glossy texture. But it looks good, and the cool thing about it too is that it comes with a muzzle flash accessory that you can clip onto the end of the barrel and then create a whole new look for this weapon. And then this does easily fit into the trigger hand that Robocop comes with, so you can have him grip it, pose with it, use it in photos, and just have a bunch of fun. The other weapon that Robocop comes with is his gun arm, which we also see used in the movie. And this has a good sculpt to it too, in my opinion, with a matte finish as well. And then there's also a gap right there for you to attach the magazine for that to create the complete look of Robocop's gun arm, and this looks very nice. I like the detailing of it. If you want to swap the arms on this figure, it's very easy. All you're going to do is pull the arm off that's on the figure already, and then put this there in its place. Got to make sure that this one does kind of clip in a bit more, because for some reason it's a bit more stiff fitting this arm onto this figure versus the one that he already comes with. But once it's on there, it has a nice snug grip, and it looks very cool. I like the way that they were able to capture the look of the gun arm. It looks very accurate to how it appears in the film. Now in the movie, Robocop does holster his Auto 9 within his leg, and then he retrieves it from his leg, which I think was a very cool aspect of Robocop's suit. And the way Mafex handles this is by removing the plate cover right here, and then there's these slots over here on the leg that are exposed. What happens is you take these additional pieces and you fit them in here. It's a very easy process. They fit in very snug. They don't like easily fall out or anything like that, as you can see. And then you take this other piece right here and you do the same thing by fitting it into its proper slot. And then that creates that opened up leg look for him to holster his Auto 9, which we can take that, remove that muzzle flash, and then put this right there. You have to make sure that everything is aligned with the slots just so that it has that proper grip that it should have. In the movie, Robocop does use this flight pack that we see here from Mafex, and this piece is probably hands down my favorite accessory that we get for this figure. It's super detailed. You can see all this good sculpting with the ventilation and stuff near the thrusters. All that detail just looks fantastic. It has this very dark metal sort of color that's much darker than the actual tone of Robocop's armor, just to have that color difference, and also, of course, accuracy to how it looks in the movie. And you can see all those engine details and the inner working of this machinery, and it looks fantastic. I think that they definitely wanted to give this their best, because it was going to, of course, be the much bigger part for the accessories and also have some function to it as well in terms of moving joints and pieces to move along with the arms, which I think is fantastic. But in order for you to use this piece, what's going to happen is you remove the chest piece that's on this figure. It does have a magnet at the back, or two of them actually, to keep it on the chest. And then once you remove that, you swap it out with this one that's pretty much identical, except for the fact that it has two notches, one on this side and one on that side of the shoulders. And then you take the jetpack, you'll see that like there's some notches right here and there, that those will match up with these notches on that chest piece. You clip this to the back, you're going to hear a bit of a snapping sound. And then the last step you're going to do is attach the gauntlet sort of pieces from the jetpack onto his arms. Make sure that those are aligned. And then Robocop is ready for action with his new flight pack. And this thing looks sick once it's on the figure. And like I said, you can move these arms along with the jetpack arms. It kind of gives away a bit of the articulation, but I don't care. I just like how this looks. The final accessory that this thing comes with is this flight stand for the figure, and I think that this is a very cool thing to have with your Mafex fig, especially with Robocop in this situation where he has the flight pack, because then you can have him levitating. It does have a clear base, and you also have the clear arm, clear claw to wrap around his waist, and it looks very nice. And like I said, you can get some levitating poses, and you could also use this without the flight pack on if you just want to have your figure propped up and avoid him falling over or anything like that. You could also use this if you want to have it for photography and stuff like that, just to kind of have something else to make flight stand posing, I guess, a bit easier. The flight stand does come with an additional arm as well right here, and you can see how that looks a bit better when it's not, you know, holding the figure and everything like that. And there's these screws where you can actually tighten these if they are a bit too loose. You want to have a bit of a stronger grip, especially if you have Robocop with the flight pack on this. You're going to want to tighten the arms, otherwise it's going to come crashing down. And then there is this additional piece right here too, but I have no clue what this is for. It's there, but I'm not sure how you use it or why it's there exactly. A lot of Mafex articulation is pretty good from what I've seen, and they have some nice range of motion, and that's definitely the case here for this Robocop figure. I was messing around with it a bit, and it does have a lot of similarities to how Robocop moves in the movies. It has that sort of restriction there, but still can get some good movement and poses out of the figure. Starting with the neck joint, you can rotate the head 360 degrees, so you got that full turn. You can also tilt the head a bit to the side, like that, and kind of like at certain angles to kind of have them look in certain positions, which is always good. And if you want, you can kind of have him rocking out a bit to have that bit of fun going on. And the cool thing about this is that he does look down as far as that, kind of pointing towards the ground, and then you can tilt the head up as far as that. But if you want to get a slight bit of extra articulation and movement, you can kind of push this back a bit because it is on a ball joint right here and in the head to kind of have him look up just a slight bit more, but that's as far as it's going to go before it ends up popping off the joint or anything like that. When it comes to the arms, you do have some pretty good motion in there too. There is a socket that you can push in and then also pull back out slightly. Same thing with the other arm, and that allows for some extra movement in the joint. You can rotate this 360 degrees, which is good and what you would expect, and also angle these arms up about as high as that. If you move them out the socket a bit, you can get some extra height with it, but nothing too crazy. It kind of gets limited because of that shoulder piece and then the armor. So it's a bit restricted, like I said, but that does kind of make sense for Robocop's suit. There is no bicep swivel, but you do have the double jointed elbows to bend those elbows in, and you can kind of work it. The arm does kind of come off at times when messing around with it, but if you take your time, and let's see, joint's a bit stiff right now, you can get that to move in about as far as that, and that's kind of where it stops. Same for the other arm. The only thing I would say I don't like about this figure when it comes to the elbow articulation is that where you would see this joint at in the movie always stays connected to this piece right here. And that's not the case for this because of that double jointed elbow, so it ends up breaking away from it, and then it doesn't connect back until you have the arm straight. And that is a bit of a disappointment. I was kind of hoping that that wouldn't be the case, and it's the case for both arms, but besides that, the articulation is still pretty good for the figure. And then looking at the wrist joint, you can rotate the hand itself, and then you can also rotate it at the wrist joint. If you bend this arm in, you have some rotation 360 degrees, which is very fun, and you can tilt the hand outward like that and also tilt it back inward. Same for the other hand. As for the waist area and that diaphragm cut, this is where the articulation is very nice because you can get some nice tiltage going to the left and over to the right. Looks very cool. And you also have that 360 degree rotation in that diaphragm and 360 degree rotation in the waist because that's on a ball joint. And this ball joint whole way that they, take on the rotation stuff in the figure for the waist area is very nice because it creates more of a seamless look in comparison to things like Marvel Legends figures where you have that cut that's very out there and it looks weird, like the person is disjointed or something like that. Like, that's not the case with the Mafex figures. It just has a very seamless style and appearance. You can also tilt the back far as this, and it does get pretty low. You can get a bit of a limbo pose going on for Robocop, and then you can also tilt it back in as far as that, but it doesn't go too far down. It's very restricted once you start crunching it in. As for the joints in the legs, though, you do have these drop-down legs for the figure on both of the legs. As you can see that movement right there. You can also get the kicks up as high as that. Same thing for the other leg, and then you can kick it back as well. You could rotate this 360 degrees, but obviously that's not how Robocop's motion works or any human's motion works because that would clearly mean that your legs are broken and something's not right. But you can also bend these knees in with that single jointed knee, which looks cool. And then touching back on that articulation that we saw earlier, this ball joint thing that they have going on here where that piston moves along with the foot as you move it around and swivel it and stuff is so soothing and it just looks so smooth. And I like that they were able to capture that motion. And then looking at the toe joint, you can actually see that there's some articulation there too because Mafex figures do have toe articulation, which is so nice to mess around with this because when you're used to Marvel Legends figures where now like they don't have toe articulation, this is just such a breath of fresh air. For a quick demonstration of the scaling of this figure, you can see him next to the retro card Marvel Legends Shocker right there, and you can also see him next to the retro card Dr. Doom. And these figures do look very nice next to Robocop. You can see the scaling. Shocker and Robocop are pretty much the exact same height. It's just Dr. Doom that has a bit more of a height advantage with that hood and everything that he has on him. And they do look pretty nice side by side together. You can see them from the side shot, the back shot, and also, once again, front facing. And then for our final comparison, we have Robocop next to the NECA Marty McFly from Back to the Future 1, along with Lucky the Pizza Dog. And these figures do look very nice together. You can see that Marty McFly is about the same height as Robocop, with Lucky the Pizza Dog meeting at about the midsection of Robocop's thigh. You can see them from the side view, the back view, and then of course the front-facing view once again. Alas, we draw near the end of the road with the Mafex Robocop figure, and in the end, I'm very pleased and impressed with the overall quality of this figure and all the accessories that it comes with. Like, Mafex really went all in on this figure, especially with details and accessories like that flight pack. That was truly awesome to see, and just all the hand accessories that you get, the mouth accessories, just creating as much variety to how this figure is displayed and just showing it off in your collection or using it for photos. I'm going to have a lot of fun when it comes to taking photos of this figure, especially in the new dial that I have. If you guys have not seen that review, be sure to check it out after watching this video. In my opinion, I think that everything you get with this figure definitely does justify the cost of what you're paying for it, which may be like around 90 or maybe like 100 or so, depending on where you're getting it from. And that price is definitely justified because you get so much that's being offered here with all the articulation of the figure, the accessories, the detailing. In a way, this Mafex figure does feel a lot like it's on par with like Hot Toys quality, just having, of course, more articulation in comparison to a Hot Toys figure, and this one, of course, being more shrunken down in that 1/12 scale, but I love it, and I would definitely love to have more Robocop stuff in my collection. I know they have each of the suits from this franchise, so the first movie, the second movie, and of course the third movie, which we reviewed here. Plus, they have some new stuff coming out as well, like the battle damage suit for Robocop with the unmasked face from the first movie. And then they also have like a Terminator figure that's coming out at some point too, with the battle damage and everything like that. So I would like to get some Terminator stuff from Mafex too. But if there were like any characters that I would love to see Mafex add to their collection of Robocop figures, I would definitely love to see Alex Murphy in his attire before he became Robocop. So in that officer attire, that would be nice. And maybe even have like a Ann Lewis to go side by side with Robocop or Alex Murphy. That would be dope in my opinion. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on this figure down in the comments below, along with what are your favorite Mafex figures that you may own or would like to own in your collection. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace out.